CJ Grisham is the man that is most behind the fact that we today have open carry in Texas. So, CJ, you're calling in today. First of all, what are you and Austin working on right now?
There's a couple of bills today, one that I'm against and one that I'm for. The one that I'm against, there's a bill that will basically criminalize a negligent discharge, and not even a negligent discharge, but if you fire a weapon and there's no target, no legitimate target that you're firing at, they make it a crime. In other words, what they're doing is they're taking the deadly conduct statute and just making it another offense. So if I were on my farm and I just shot my gun into the ground, or I shot it into the field, literally that would be an offense. And so I'm here to testify against that. We also had some meetings today between the two authors of the constitutional carry bill. So we just hammered out a solution between the two bill authors and then us and Texas Carry. And I think we've got a really good bill. I can't bring out the details yet because it's still got to go through Ledge Council. But we think we're going to have a constitutional carry bill for the first time in Texas history, or I'm sorry, an unlicensed carry bill for the first time in Texas history, passed out of a committee. And if we can get that done, we've got a really good chance of getting this to the floor. So it's everything that I've wanted, not everything I've wanted, but it's everything that I've required and that OCT has required as far as what's the minimum that we'll expect. And then we got a little bit more than that. So we're really excited. It looks like 1911, we've got Stickland and White joining up as joint authors. We've got a new substitute that's going to be submitted as part of 1911, and that's the one that we're going to start fighting for. So we're not giving up on 375. We're just we're uniting forces under an unlicensed carry bill that we think is going to pass. And then the other bill that I was testifying for is a bill that would basically repeal and get the TABC out of the gun business. So all those little signs you see at Walmart or liquor stores or gas stations that say the unlicensed possession of a firearm, blah, blah, blah. We're getting the TABC out of the gun business. So I was going to testify for that, but it looks like it's been killed, or at least it's been pulled from committee for some changes that we need to have made. So there you go. That's why I'm in Austin today, fighting for more liberty.
Well, we need more liberty, and I don't know what the gun laws are where Sean McCutcheon lives. But in Texas, I mean, this is the home of the Alamo. We expect that a guy ought to be able to carry a gun. His God-given, nay, God-commanded right, where Jesus Christ himself said, if you don't have a gun, sell your coat and buy one, Luke 22:36. So I don't know how the government gets around that. That's a command with equal weight of the other, quote, 10 that they count in there. Now, you were involved in this flag flap deal that we got here in Houston, where the Houston Police Department has determined that a flagpole, that is, if you're carrying a flag on a stick, that is apparently some kind of weapon and therefore is illegal.
Well, I'll be blunt. I don't think the police department has determined that, but the police department has decided it's going to start enforcing it. And it's an ordinance. It's a city ordinance that some of our members down there, as well as some other patriots, have been working with the city council to try and get fixed. But it's been 6 weeks. There's no reason why the city council couldn't have already put this on their agenda and clarified that flying the flag on a certain pole is not a crime. It's not a weapon. So what we did was we went to, and I guess for the benefit of your audience, in Houston there's an ordinance that says if you have a pole or a staff or a similar type item, and it's thicker than 3/4 of an inch, and it's not made of wood, so it doesn't matter how thick it is, if it's metal or plastic or whatever. But if you have a pole, whether it's attached to a flag or not, and it exceeds that 3/4 inch width at its widest, then it's considered a weapon, and you are not allowed to carry it at a rally or a protest or a parade, things like that. So we went down there to protest when the city council is not doing anything. We decided that if the law enforcement is going to enforce this unlawful and unconstitutional ordinance, then we're going to go challenge it. If the city council won't do anything and we can't do anything politically, then we're going to do it through the courts. And so we went down there. We had about, maybe 24 people showed up We had probably a dozen or so flags, and all of them, except for one, and I'll explain which one that one was, all of the flags violated the city ordinance because they were either metal or they exceeded the 3/4 inch width as a wooden pole. And here's the funny part, Doc. The only flag that was lawfully, and I use that term loosely, the only flag that was lawfully carried on Friday was a flag that was attached to a Mauser rifle. So that's
because in Texas you can carry a rifle anywhere.
The ordinance because it's a rifle, but everyone with a wooden pole or a metal pole, those were considered weapons. And keep in mind also, every single person that was carrying a flag was also carrying either a handgun and or a rifle. So, for example, my illegal flag was accompanied by an AR-15 on my chest, but they were more concerned about the flagpole and not my AR-15.
Look, this thing is so hilarious. The number of jokes that came across my mind while you're describing this situation, CJ, some of which cannot be published. So, but basically, if you're sporting a Woody and you got a flag on it, you're going to get a ticket.
Yes, especially now for some people, maybe not, but if it's thicker than 3/4 of an inch, yes.
Now, to add insult to injury, when I was down there at a Make America Great rally, there were a bunch of ISIS people on the other side of the street, and they were carrying flags on flagpoles that were clearly exceeding the ordinance. And I asked one of the cops, I said, "Aren't you going to arrest those guys? Because those flagpoles are not legal." And they said, "No, that's up to the supervisor." Well, the supervisor apparently thought it was okay.
I think Democrats will probably be able to carry the way that you were just mentioning, but most conservatives couldn't.
Oh, my goodness, this is terrible. Sean McCutcheon, you want to get involved in this one?
Well, I'm from Alabama, going back to and we're just like Texas. We have all the open carry laws. As a matter of fact, one of the big gun companies that manufactures guns moved from New York to Huntsville about a year and a half ago because of how hard New York was coming down on them. So Alabama's definitely a pro-gun state. I think we copy a lot of the Texas laws and rules. So
I think
we're with you. Let me put it that way.
You may have us beat over there, Sean McCutcheon. I think your rules are better than ours. In fact, I know you can go into a courthouse in Alabama with your $20 and walk out with your license.
Exactly.
Well, no, you can go into the sheriff's office and do that.
Yeah, you can't do that in Texas, though, can you, CJ?
No, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but when I was stationed in Alabama, I was up there in Huntsville at Redstone Arsenal. You could open carry without a license, right?
That's correct. You can open carry.
Yeah, you can't do that in Texas.
Yeah, see, Alabama's got us beat all to pieces, and that's why CJ Grisham is up there fighting the good fight that he's fighting, because we have fallen from number 19 on the Liberty Index to number 26 out of 50 states. And I don't like the way we're going on that. And it's guys like C.J. Grisham, a former master sergeant in the Army, that are making these things happen. And it, I hate it.
Not that it matters, but I was a first sergeant.
First sergeant. Okay, thank you. First sergeant C.J. Grisham, sir. But I so appreciate the fact that you've taken your retirement, and these are the things that you're working on. And it cost you a lot of time and a lot of money to do these things. And I'm so grateful to you. I just want you to know that.
I will be so glad when I can relax and stay home and just enjoy liberty. I'll tell you that much.
Well, please continue the fight, because if you don't get it done this time here in Texas, it's 2 years before we get another chance.
Yes, sir. And thanks for all you're doing for liberty on the airwaves.
Doing what I can. All right, well, thank you, C.J. Grisham, for calling in, and Sean McCutcheon. We're going to pick back up with where you're at. So you're from Alabama. That is a wonderful state in a lot of respects.
You just defended yourself with a gun. The police are called, and you're potentially involved in a homicide. But but it was self-defense. At this point, you are not in your right mind. No one ever is when they are in fear for their life and defend themselves. Anything you say can and will be used in a court of law, both civilly and criminally. Fortunately, you have selfdefensefund.com. We are the National Association for Legal Gun Defense, and we protect our members nationally in all 50 states, up to $1 million per incident per member. Let us do the talking for you and visit selfdefensefund.com. Any weapon, any state, anytime.
Run away. Seems so very far.